From WGNX Channel 46, this is Atlanta's News at 7:30.
Hello, I'm Steve Dawson.
And I'm CHERYL Case. On this Friday, December 9th, these are the top stories here at home, in the nation, and the world.
Another Atlanta homicide, another strangled female, another possible victim of a serial killer. The White House says this time she went too far. The Surgeon General gets her diagnosis, unemployed. And the day after a massive bottle-throwing brawl, a refugee camp is calm, but just barely.
In our top story, another woman's body is found in Atlanta, and homicide detectives indicate it may be number 6 this year in a series of possibly linked unsolved murders. 7:30's Lee Green joins us now from the site where the body was found in southeast Atlanta. Lee?
Well, CHERYL, the body was found in this under-construction school, East Lake Elementary. It was found by a construction worker early this morning up on the 2nd floor of that school. Investigators remain on the scene at this hour. They are investigating not just the site where the body was found, but they have also been spending a good deal of time poking around in a graveyard which sits next to the school just over there. It didn't take very long for detectives to figure out this morning that there are certain similarities between this crime and several other unsolved homicides. The cause of death was strangulation. The woman, a black female, was apparently a streetwalker, and there are indications of crack cocaine use. All of that and the fact that the location the body was found in fits a pattern explain the amount of investigative attention being paid to this murder. Police are not saying there is definitely a serial killer at work, but that is certainly, in their view, a possibility.
The investigation that we've been doing for the past several months involving murders of females is still ongoing. We have been actively involved in this case, pursuing a number of leads, and we're pursuing the evidence that we have on this case right now.
Lieutenant, will this incident be looked at in that light?
Specify, what do you mean?
Will this incident be looked at in connection with that investigation that you just referenced?
Yes.
As the number of these cases grows, there is more and more information available for investigators to compare. The key is apparently the willingness of these women to risk everything in pursuit of a drug habit.
And that's the point. I mean, in terms of whether it's more prudent to say that we have one person doing it or more prudent to say that we have several people doing it, the fact of the matter is that we still have people who are becoming victims of homicide who are basically exposing themselves to a lot of danger out there because of that overwhelming need for crack cocaine.
Now, investigators do tell us they are making progress in this investigation, and in the broader investigation, we will have more on all of this for you tonight at 10, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Tonight, police are also looking for a young man who shot 2 employees at a Crystal restaurant in Buckhead. It happened around 6:30 this morning. A customer put a gun to the head of the lady behind the register. It was her first day on the job, and there was no money in the till, so he demanded the manager.
And then evidently the manager wasn't giving him the right kind of money, so he said, you know what, I want the green. So then I guess the manager gave him the green. Then next thing I know, I heard a gunshot, pow, 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 pow. And then when I looked up, people gone. I ran in the cooling head.
The manager, Richard Phillips, was shot in the groin, and he lost a lot of blood. Another employee, Wesley Dixon, was shot in the leg. Both are at Grady Hospital in stable condition tonight. Police, meanwhile, say the armed robbery is similar to others in the area. They have no suspect at this time, but say it may be a juvenile.
Overnight, police chased down a stolen van. In the back of it, they found a stash of phony G.B.I. uniform gear. 2 suspects fled the stolen van, leaving behind this, bags filled with phony G.B.I. raid jackets and hats, items which could fool someone in a fake raid.
There were items that were found in the bag as well, ski mask and other items that criminals use. So we feel certain that this, if it hadn't been used already, was intended to be used in some sort of criminal activity.
Officers are looking for at least 2 suspects. They say they're taking this very seriously. By the way, here's what the real thing looks like. Agents say if there's ever a question about a G.B.I. raid, call the headquarters immediately. Firefighters say a DeKALB condominium complex went up in flames like a matchbox this morning. The fire began at about 8 o'clock at the Concord by Lakeside complex. Both floors of the cedar-sided structure were already in flames by the time crews arrived on the scene.
With such a large fire that's already well involving 2 floors of the apartment building, we felt that the rest of the building was threatened.
Investigators believe the fire began in an upstairs bedroom, but aren't sure exactly what caused it. Much of the building was vacant, although one family lost everything it had.
Police may file charges against the driver of a truck smashed by a train. It happened in Lawrenceville early this morning. Here's what's left of the pickup after a freight train struck it. Investigators say the driver ignored the flashing lights. They also ignored the warning signs.
Attempted to avoid the, went through the cross gates and was struck by a train going eastbound.
The driver, Thomas McCraney, is at Gwinnett Medical Center. He's in stable condition. The passenger, David Jones, though, is in critical condition. Officers say drugs or alcohol may have been involved. She said the drugs might be legalized and caused a furor. She promoted contraceptive distribution in schools and made people angry. And now Surgeon General Joycelyn Elder's latest remarks have gotten her fired. Elders asked abruptly by President Clinton to leave following these comments about masturbation made last week in New York.
Regard to masturbation, I think that that is something that it's a part of human sexuality, and it is a part of something that perhaps should be taught. But we've not even taught our children the very basics. And I feel that we have tried ignorance for a very long time, and it's time we try education.
The White House Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta, says if Elders had not resigned as requested, she would have been terminated. Jailhouse talk with former football star Rosie Greer is the focus of O.J. Simpson's murder trial this evening. Greer is now a clergyman. At issue is a statement made by Simpson during a conversation with Greer at the L.A. County Jail. A statement overheard by deputies that is possibly incriminating. Both Simpson and Greer are claiming the privilege of confidentiality with a religious advisor. The prosecutors are arguing that the statement came during the discussion of non-religious issues. No ruling yet on the matter.
The black box tape of cockpit recordings made during the final moments of U.S. Air Flight 427 is so gruesome it will not be released to the public. The plane crashed near Pittsburgh last September. All 132 people on board were killed. The FAA says the recordings do not contain anything significant or new. A spokeswoman explains why certain portions are being withheld.
It is being deleted out of respect and compassion for the family members.
Will this ever be released?
No.
How unusual is that for you not to release that portion of the tape?
To my knowledge, we have never, as an agency, deleted a portion like this before.
As the spokeswoman gently puts it, the tape contains expressions of human suffering.
Got to take a short break here, and then a zoo on wheels gets carjacked. The story of a car thief who got a lot more than he bargained for.
And the man who sang "This Is a Man's World" may have taken the lyrics too seriously. James Brown in trouble with the law again.
Well, the clouds are lined up, the rain along with it. It's all moving our way. I'll let you know when it'll get here and what we can expect coming up later in the weather.
A rather tense calm has been restored to U.S. refugee camps in Panama tonight after violent clashes there. Some 1,000 American troops equipped with riot gear and tear gas are standing guard. This after an equal number of Cubans punched, kicked, and broke their way out of internment yesterday. Up to 50 of them are still missing. The Cubans were transferred to Panama after being picked up by the Coast Guard trying to flee to the U.S. 25 Americans and 19 Cubans remain hospitalized after the violence.
3 men who have long been known as the worst of enemies are in Oslo, Norway tonight to jointly claim the Nobel Peace Prize. PLO Chief Yasser Arafat, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, and Foreign Minister Shimon Peres will share the award at a ceremony tomorrow. Security agents were sent scrambling earlier today when Peres fell while taking a walk. He injured his face slightly but is otherwise okay. Security for tomorrow's ceremony is described as extremely tight. Officials in the United Kingdom have a whale of a problem on their hands tonight. 11 sperm whales beached themselves yesterday and died. The problem is what to do with the oversized remains. The whales will likely be moved to a nearby lime pit where they'll be buried. Officials have no idea why the whales got too close to the shore. Another whale stranded off the coast of New Jersey fared a little better today. A northern white whale freed itself after being stuck on mudflats near an oil refinery in the Delaware River. Witnesses say the giant mammal broke loose with a giant stroke of his tail. Environmentalists will be keeping a close eye on the animal to make sure he finds his way back to the Atlantic.
About 90 residents of San Antonio, Texas are back in their homes after a series of explosions and subsequent fire forced them out last night. The fire was at a fertilizer plant, and officials were concerned about possible toxic fumes. A 25-block area near downtown was evacuated as a precaution, but residents were allowed to return late this morning. Only a few minor injuries were reported, but traffic was backed up for miles because Interstate 10 was closed most of the night. Fire officials are still trying to determine what caused that fire. If you have a youngster who is not as tall as the rest of his or her schoolmates, there's a new study out that might allay any fears you might have. The nonprofit Human Growth Foundation says research shows short children are no more likely to be shy, anxious, or depressed than their taller peers. And it adds that parents who hope that expensive growth hormone treatments will improve their children's self-esteem may be wasting their money. The study appears in the current edition of the magazine Pediatrics. Sometimes car thieves get more than they bargained for, and here's a case in point. A stolen van in Chicago. It was snatched yesterday by a thief who clearly was not aware of its contents because there were exotic animals, including a 185-pound black bear, a spider monkey, and a snake. There was also an armadillo and a lizard in this Noah mobile. A friend of the van's owner says, ironically, it's not the bear that the thief needs to be careful of.
I've had animals my whole life, but, you know, they're my livelihood, but they're also my life.
The animal's owner uses them to entertain children, not thieves.
Coming up, Miami is trying hard to clean up its reputation. A bit later in our newscast, we'll show you why this week is crucial for the Florida metropolis to change its image.
And here's a question. What's close to half a ton, looks like it should moo, and is missing? Stay tuned for the answer.
People, he may be the godfather of soul, but he's accused of a heartless act. James Brown in trouble with the law again. Brown is listed on an arrest warrant charging him with criminal domestic violence. Police say he shoved his wife during an argument at their South Carolina home. She then allegedly struck a chair and cut her lip. Brown is not considered a fugitive at this time. He's expected to turn himself in. And more evidence that First Lady Hillary Clinton is assuming more traditional duties. While the president attends a 34-nation Western Hemisphere summit in Miami, Mrs. Clinton took time out today to visit a hospital. The First Lady talked with both patients and hospital staff. She also visited a local school, a bit of a distance from heading up the revamp of 1/7 of the nation's economy, the now dormant plan for universal health coverage.
This next one sounds like an episode of Night Court. A federal judge in Atlanta was in the process of sentencing Louis Jordan on a weapons charge. Jordan kept tearing off his clothes in an effort to delay his fate. Finally, the judge asked all the women in the courtroom to leave and told Jordan to strip. Wearing only a t-shirt and socks, Jordan got 10 years in prison. But that is not the end of the story, because after the sentencing, Jordan relieved himself on his attorney's leg.
No segue out of that one.
This is like news of the weird. That's from our News of the Weird desk. Here's Mark Harmon.
Yeah, you guys always use me for comic relief. Okay, the Atlanta Hawks will go for their 8th win of the season tonight, hosting Pat Riley and the New York Knickerbockers. Then it's off to Orlando on Saturday to tip off with Shaquille O'Neal and the Magic, a game you can see right here on WGNX-TV. Now, another former New York Mets player is reportedly being investigated for federal tax evasion. Published reports say that Howard Johnson owes between $100,000 and $300,000 in back taxes on income earned at baseball card shows he allegedly failed to report. Former Met outfielder Darryl Strawberry was indicted on those same charges yesterday. The report also says the probe is investigating former Met players Gary Carter, Dwight Gooden, and Lenny Dykstra. The Atlanta Falcons will bang helmets with arch rival New Orleans on Sunday. The Falcons have not defeated the Saints in Atlanta since 1990. Sunday, the Falcons must win to keep playoff hopes alive. The Saints' strategy will be just like last time. Run Mario Bates and hope he can find the end zone, and then hit the airways behind the much improved play of quarterback Jim Everett.
What's surprising is that you know, he's, for just being there for the first year, he seems like he's got a real good grasp of what they're doing. And maybe that's the passing background that he had with Ernie Zambizi, you know, too. But, you know, he's done a real good job with their offense. They've been sacked, I think, only 13 times or so, I think he has, and the whole club 16, so you give you an idea how quick he's getting the ball out.
It's a semifinal round of the high school football playoffs this weekend. Today, the state's #1 Quad A team, the Panthers of Southwest DeKalb, hit the turf at the Georgia Dome to get in some practice time for their huge 4A collision with state powerhouse Valdosta.
It's going to come down to proper attitude as far as game preparation goes, and the look in the eyes of a good fighter. And that's going to determine more than anything about turf or atmosphere or what have you.
I think this year we put a lot of emphasis on prayer and being a family instead of just being an I person, and not we're we now. We're like a whole, we're a team, we're a family. And it's more of a team concept than just an individual concept.
Isn't that exciting to see that once you change that attitude, the kind of success that follows?
Oh yes, yes. I never seen so many kids come together as one unit in my life.
One game in high school playoffs tonight in AAA. Marietta travels to face Colquitt County. Now in colleges, Stanford has a new head football coach. He is Minnesota Vikings running back coach Tyrone Willingham. Meanwhile, Pat Sullivan, he's staying at TCU because LSU won't buy out his contract. And Dennis Rodman is back. He returns to practice day with the San Antonio Spurs with a new do. Yes, it's green hair this time, just in time for the Christmas holidays. Next up, we'll see if Denny Moore has a hair-raising weather forecast. But first, today's winning Cash 3 numbers.
Well, we saw a glimpse of sunshine this morning, but it didn't last long. Clouds built in throughout the day, and we've got cloudy skies over much of the state tonight. Our temperature at 7 o'clock, 57 degrees. Winds 9 miles per hour out of the east, 80% the relative humidity, and we currently have a steady barometer. Well, mild temperatures continue to spoil us as once again we average 12 degrees above normal, 62 our high, 54 our low. But hey, if you want to talk low, look at the lowest ever, 8 degrees back in 1917. Currently, temperatures around the state still very pleasant, 53 in Augusta, 60 degrees over on the coast, 62 degrees in Valdosta, 58 degrees in Rome. Now, to show you why all the clouds, we're going to take you back 20 hours again. We'll look at the storm system now sitting here over Texas and Oklahoma and parts of Arkansas. It's being ushered in by the southern flow of the jet, and look at this moisture being pushed in over the eastern third of the country. But not to worry, the rain is still a little bit off to the west of us, sitting in line here from central Texas all the way up into New England. It's this band of showers that we see right here that are going to be moving in here tomorrow morning. But first, your forecast for tonight calls for cloudy skies and light drizzle throughout the night. Winds out of the southeast 5 to 10. The low 51 degrees. Take an umbrella with you on Saturday because we're going to have off and on showers throughout the day. South winds 10 to 15. Our high 57 degrees. And the 5-day shows some relief as far as climatic data after Sunday morning. But temperatures, well, temperatures are definitely on their way down. If you've been wanting and waiting to cool down, get ready. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're actually going to hit the freezing mark. Now, let's take a quick look at tonight's dollar signs.
Topping dollar signs tonight, budget cuts at the Pentagon are hitting close to home. The budget for the F-22 fighter jet series being built primarily at the Lockheed plant here in Atlanta was slashed today. A spokesman for Lockheed called the move a delay and says production will resume next year. He also said none of the 1,000 people working on the project would be laid off. It has had hurricanes, it has had riots, and most detrimentally, it has had a string of tourist murders. But right now, Miami is grabbing an opportunity to convince the world that the city is, after all, a good place to both visit and do business. The current Summit of the Americas is the focus of the sell job. 34 Latin American leaders will hopefully bring back word of Miami's promising economic climate and ethnic diversity. As for safety, a 5,000-strong security force is watching over the summit's every move.
Stocks on Wall Street ended on a mixed note today. The Dow Jones average gained over 5 points, closing at 36.91. The broader Nasdaq slipped a small fraction and closed at 719.
It is the rarest of occurrences, an extraordinary event that will eclipse everything that's come before. Because beginning December 11, Channel 46 will become your new CBS station. With all these stars and all these shows, It will change the way you look at television forever. Channel 46, the new home of CBS in Atlanta.
Earlier tonight, we had news of a stolen van loaded with exotic animals. Now the story of another missing creature, a 600-pound cow. Elsie is, or maybe we should say was, made of cement. Her presence in front of a Burlington, Ohio mobile home business guaranteed that company an instant recognition factor. Police cannot figure out how the big bovine was pried off her foundation, but stolen she was. Maybe her picture should go on a milk carton, but it would have to be at least a 1-gallon container.
Oh, at least.
At least. Well, that's going to do it for us at 8 o'clock. Heaven Help Us is coming up next.
And by coincidence, Heaven Help Us was the show that was coming up next the first time we did this program 2.5 months ago. We'll be back for News at 10. This, by the way, is the last time we'll do this program, News at 7:30. On Sunday, Channel 46 becomes a CBS affiliate.
And we hope you're as excited as we are about the switch, which will greatly enhance our ability to cover all the news in Atlanta and around the world.
Heaven Help Us. We'll see you on CBS. Good night.
Good night.